Humor and many sexist jokes. I guess Duke Nukem Forever should have just been called.
I'm pretty sure one SpongeBob SquareMan is the subject of a terrifying percentage of all YouTube video essays. So I won't waste your time with an intro spiel that's already been done. Even just saying this feels corny. You know SpongeBob, I know SpongeBob. It's the most certain common ground our generations have. But let me ask you this. When I say the name SpongeBob, what's the first image that comes to mind? Maybe it's a moment from a classic episode, or the cover of a DVD you watched 80 times. Maybe you weren't a SpongeBob household, and I'm assuming my experience is more universal than it is. But the true maniacal brain geniuses among us may picture exactly this, or this, or this. If you were a kid in the 2000s, there's a good chance you're familiar with at least some of these. For nearly a decade, this was the art you would see pasted on cheap merchandise. These images come from the SpongeBob Toolkit, a document Nickelodeon provided to licensees, full of this officially sanctioned clip art, along with things like fonts and guidelines for use of the character. This is a pretty technical document which wasn't meant to be seen by the public, but they still fill a lot of empty space with these fun things for kids, like trivia about the animal each character is based on, instructions to make your own Krusty Krab hat, a snail-based recipe, what to do if you get stung by a jellyfish. Meat Tenderizer breaks down the stinger toxins and provides some pain relief. It also makes you more appealing to vampires and cannibals. It's funny how there's all this waxing poetic about protecting the integrity of the character. Like, guys, we're really building something here, based in Steven Hillenburg's vision. And then the example products they show are so ass. He doesn't... SpongeBob doesn't say that. There were tons of little supplements to this document too, and they're full of similarly awesome bad ideas. A personal favorite is the photo reel style guide from 2005. Jokes that play off of events from the show can be even funnier when life imitates art. They say this image isn't really comedic, but they failed to consider that it's fucking cool. I would love to see this guy in my city. I love these girl palettes from 2007. I think I have some stickers of these designs that must be old enough to drive. And there are more rare alternate styles from the mid-2000s. Some of them are lame, but a few of them are pretty fun, like these adorable SketchBob designs. but my favorite has to be this style. Squidward and Patrick are so cute here. SpongeBob is gamer, and he on phone. I've never seen any merch with these designs in the wild, but if they did some limited promotion bringing them back, they could probably get like $30 out of me. The 10th anniversary style guide has some cool Fruitiger Metro design if you're into that sort of thing, but hopefully the cover of this one helps illustrate why I'm keeping this video's focus very narrow. Do you really want to hear about this ugly painted style they switched to for the 2010s? It's all F tier. They already did a big branding refresh around 2005 or so, and I don't really vibe with these SpongeBobs either. The enshittification was honestly trickling in even earlier. You can tell these aren't being made with love anymore when they don't bother to make Patrick's eyelids purple. No hate to whoever designed these, but all of the really good stuff is in the 2002 toolkit. It's also coincidentally the easiest to find these in high quality, so in the interest of respecting your time and mine, we're only gonna review what's in here. I'm sure a few people will be devastated that this isn't comprehensive, but I assure you, dear audience, we're still about to smoke the whole pack. There's like 200 assets to get through. Also, can we agree to just sit out these surfing and snowboarding ones? These are so cynically far removed from the character that nobody cares, right? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. I'm by no means a professional artist, so my ranking of these will inevitably be very subjective and vibes-based. Knowing my exact taste in cartoon poses will offer some deep insight into a stranger's psyche. If I make a severe lapse in judgment, sound off in the comments. Honestly, the tier list is kind of just a framing device to deliver weird trivia. Also, I've been calling my source for these the 2002 toolkit, but that just means it's the 2002 revision we have access to. Many of these assets were already being used in things like books and commercials as early as summer 2000. I wish I could tell you more about the people who drew these, but the toolkit itself is unsurprisingly vague on this point. I guess the serial numbers being filed off is like the whole deal here. These people deserve praise for their work, and I'm sure there will be someone in the comments who can ID some of these styles. But to give you a taste of things to come, even within this seemingly unified corporate SpongeBob art style, there are some pretty disparate approaches, and I think the moment I could put names to commonalities, it would be very easy to start picking favorites. So we'll just review each piece on its own merits and see what patterns emerge. With all of that housekeeping out of the way, let's get into the list. SpongeBob 1. This is nothing mind-blowing, but a versatile and charming first effort. B tier. Number 2 is our first pose that also exists in 3D. Here's a figurine based on it from 2003. I'm a little sad this is the second one, because it's too early to make a joke about e-begging at patreon.com/somefeatures. Anyway, she's so cute in this one. S tier. I'm sure the numbering of these is completely random, but I like that they aren't front-loading the marketable smiling SpongeBobs. We're getting some angry ones in the mix too. Here's an excruciatingly 2003 t-shirt that uses this pose. Despite what I just showed you, I like this one a lot, A tier. I always associated this one with the movie, probably because of the video game tie-in. Here's a fun and funny fact about this game. The early cutscenes use screenshots from the film, but it seems like, at a certain point, work on the game outpaced work on the film, because they run out of finished animation and have to stitch shots together out of concept art and stock poses like these. It's so odd. Anyway, I don't like this one. This is American Kirby SpongeBob. D tier. Whenever I see this one, I think of that abandoned SpongeBob ride. It's such a bad pose to use in that context. Tim Bob Fuck Pants? There are much better drawings here that get across a similar idea. This one is unremarkable and also just kind of odd. D tier. You can also find a weird pillow based on this pose. I had a blanket with this pose on it as a kid, but the tactile sense nostalgia isn't enough to sway my opinion. He has these huge pupils in this one, which typically make a character look cuter, but it doesn't really work for SpongeBob because you still have to draw the blue iris around it, so it kinda just looks off. I'm sorry, but this is another D tier. You can actually see that they modified this one to make his eyes more normal in a few cases. Not sure what's up with this fish though. I also noticed a lot of these old toys and trinkets have the phrase "really works" on their packaging, which is a funny limp selling point. Anyway, now we're back to the good shit. This is a solid B tier. 8's pretty similar, so it goes in B too. They each have their own appeal, but there's nothing more to say about them really. I can hear 9 saying hi to me. This is a curious guy who wants to communicate. A tier. Oh, that's why his arm looked like that in 5. He's holding the window open. That makes so much more sense. I like when these use a recognizable prop from the show. It feels like killing 2 clams with 1 stone. B tier. 11 is great. I like how his body has this dimensionality to it, but the limbs are intentionally very stiff to sell his, squareness. It's a pretty inspired angle for one of these, and it captures the show's spirit nicely. A tier. I'm pretty torn on this one. I kind of hate it, but I like how fucked up it is. It's a net positive that they were allowed to get away with this, so we'll put it in C tier, for like harm reduction or something. Bizarrely, there's a plush toy based on this pose. It's also featured prominently on this 35mm camera. It's pretty cute in the context of him smiling for a photo. 13 seems to be adapted from this shot in the episode Jellyfishing. This one's kinda oversaturated. It's very easy to use very lazily. It's so like he's showing off the logo of the cereal you're eating, but I do think it's one of the better poses for that use case. High B tier. Okay, this one's strange. It seems like this pose is supposed to be SpongeBob petting Gary or building a sandcastle or something, but there's no indication of what to pair it with. There's also a variation of this where he's on his knees, which makes more sense. It has a little more space to put something, but I still wouldn't know what to do with this. I might just leave this off the list because I feel like I'm missing something. This is an aggressively neutral pose. There's nothing wrong with it, but it kind of defies being used in a unique or interesting way. Sorry buddy, you're going in C. No thanks. D tier. There's something about this pose that makes him look like he's a comic character that's existed since the 70s, like Garfield or something. I like it. I don't remember seeing this one too often because it is kind of a weird drawing, but that gives it an endearing underdog quality. B tier. This is one of the most common poses you'll see on old merch. It was used as a generic tag for a lot of items. It's pretty generic, but it actually seems to be based on this frame from the episode Opposite Day. It's a close enough match that it's probably not a coincidence, but it's funny to imagine a bunch of designers chain smoking in their office, pausing the episode and studying it like, that could work. There's also a version of this one with glasses I've seen a few times. Whoa, Nickelodeon U-frames are available at Sears Optical. It seems like the extent of this promotion was this lenticular case, but what's freaky about this is that it lets you see in real time how they need to change the construction of his face for the glasses to make sense. His eyes are touching in the original art, so they need to imply this extra strip of flesh for them to sit on. You'll also see these turned into 3D glasses on occasion. This pose is also the basis for a few SpongeBob statues, which is a subject that warrants its own video. Trust me, this is not a line of inquiry you want to go down without prep time. This is one of the more striking generic ones, but that doesn't preclude it from being a generic one. Let's give it a high B tier. While we're in Tangent City, 21 gets used for one of the oddest things I found for this video. No meditation on r/liminal 2000s kidcore capitalism would be complete without a mention of the SpongeBob mac and cheese. But did you know that in 2002 there was a rare version where the cheese sauce was blue? I had no idea this was a thing. It doesn't even come up in Pat Mac's SpongeBob Foods video, which is like the authority on this type of thing. Statistically, there's probably someone watching who's nostalgic for it, so please let us know about the cognitive dissonance of eating blue Kraft in the comments. Anyway, it's becoming apparent that one generic SpongeBob face was used as a base for a lot of these, so I'm feeling justified in needing something to impress me. But I do like the implication that he's frolicking through some high grass here, so it's enough to land this low in B tier. This is very close to 8, but it's not like it's worse or anything. B tier. This SpongeBob is calling me a word I'm allowed to say, but not on YouTube. It makes me smile every time I see it, so it's S tier. I don't like Squint Bob. I don't really think of SpongeBob as
It was a cold and rainy Saturday night when I decided to play Tetris Effect Connected. At least, I tried to. Online gaming has created a new wave of interactivity. It's no longer a requirement for people to be in the same room to play together. Now, it's possible to play with complete strangers on the opposite side of the globe, so long as there are other people. After years of existence, some online games have become abandoned. Lobbies, once filled with other human beings, are now vacant, with no way to start a match. Fast RMX, a once popular racing game, is notable for being a launch title on Nintendo Switch. Considering Mario Kart 8 Deluxe wasn't available at
It's over! Meow. Huh?
the time, this was an easy way to get a racing fix. It often stayed among the eShop bestsellers. So, where did everybody go? The online lobbies have become abandoned. I can sit in matchmaking for upwards of 10 minutes and won't be able to find anyone. Even the Switch is tired. The online is seemingly unplayable without seeking souls outside of the game. It's more than likely that I won't meet anyone by chance. Thankfully, the core gameplay can still be enjoyed offline, with more modes and local multiplayer. Matchmaking for online games can be extremely variable. Different factors such as the time of day, division of lobbies, current popularity, and event relevancy affect how common it is to find other players. By including online modes, developers set the expectation that an audience will voluntarily participate. Players should be able to find each other at any time of day because it's assumed that other people will be playing. Without anybody joining in, what's the point of developing an online mode? Runbow was a hit game on the Wii U, featuring frenetic 9-player fun. It has a strong focus on local multiplayer, allowing wacky controller combinations to let everyone join. Having 9 people huddled around a TV to compete sounds like a blast. The constantly shifting colors and ever-changing platforms require quick thinking and a sense of humor. Online multiplayer is also an option, and splits into 3 modes: Racing, Arena, and King of the Hill. After entering a queue, the room is vacant. Maybe the Arena? No? Alright, King of the Hill. Even though Runbow was ported to many different platforms, none of them talk to each other. A player on Xbox One can't play with someone on Nintendo Switch, and a PC player can't join a room made on PS4. The scattered platforms, combined with separate lobbies, create a great division of players. Individuals will endlessly linger in matchmaking without seeing anybody else. There's also the new 3DS version. The size of a potential audience can grow depending on how well a game sells. However, sales don't guarantee that players will continually return online years after release. Certain hours of the day could be left with empty rooms and cobwebs, discouraging other players from queuing again. The active population of an online lobby isn't a given. ARMS is a game that sold over 2 million copies. It isn't the most popular game in the world, but enough people have stuck around to keep the online lobbies active. When searching for a party match, there's bound to be a few competitors lingering around. ARMS isn't abandoned, but after attempting the ranked mode, it might as well be. It's extremely difficult to find other players in the ranked queue. This is likely because of the division. Ranked matchmaking will purposefully keep players apart in the interest of having a similar skill level. There may be some leeway with finding other players who aren't matching in rank. Matchmaking could become less strict if it's taking too long to find someone. For a game that isn't as populated as it once was, many players are attracted to the free-for-all party match. It's a queue that doesn't have a lot of division. The party lobby accounts for the number of available players to create a fitting match. It gives less individual control on what game mode to play, yet keeps everyone together, simply for the sake of playing a match. Games that incorporate ranked modes expect the online player base to be large enough to divide into many chunks. A healthy amount of players are needed in each rank to avoid trapping challengers in a queue. Competitive modes can be fun. Waiting for other skilled players definitely isn't. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, Complete Edition, was a re-release that resurrected a delisted title to then modern platforms. It was a cult classic, with amazing sprite artistry, a rocking chiptune score, and a fun gameplay loop. The beat-em-up invites chaotic multiplayer to fill the screen. The revival had online play from the get-go, which is dead. So much for a resurrection. After creating a match, I was getting a bit lonely, so I went to check if there were any existing rooms. Oh. Gee, thanks, Ryan. Well, I'm sure it isn't intended. Online modes become unenjoyable when more time is spent waiting around for other players than actually playing the game. Thankfully, some developers have explored a solution for this, though it's been seen overtaking entire lobbies. Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble has extensive online features. A rotating season pass encourages players to keep participating in hopes of earning limited time cosmetics. These items are exclusive to the pass and cannot be earned offline. There's plenty of reason for collectors to get sucked in and keep the lobbies active. There's never been an issue getting into a battle match for this game. After about a minute, I'm off and away to challenge other players.
You're the winner!
There's something puzzling about the results screen. The match is being haunted by computer-possessed players. These players can't be real, these are randomly generated strings. Since players joining a lobby are obfuscated before the match starts, it's hard to tell what's going on. Are real people joining? Or is the lobby being filled with fakes? Interestingly, matches always start after a minute passes. Every single time. It appears as if enough people are available to start a match, but there has to be an invisible timer forcing it to start. Strangely, every match I've played has all 16 player slots occupied. 60 seconds pass, and 16 players are together. With the curious usernames, it's obvious that the matches are being crowded with ghosts. A lack of transparency can lead someone to think other humans are playing. It hides the true nature of an abandoned room. Computer-possessed players are being used to fill the dead air. If a player deliberately chooses to join an online lobby, and offline play already exists, what's the advantage of hiding a computer's identity? Are the abandoned rooms an embarrassment? Or is there a deeper truth to it all? Kirby's Dream Buffet features a similar passive rewards that encourages repetitive online play. It lacks urgency, as unlockables are not limited around real-world time. The amount of progress made is dependent on the number of strawberries collected and a multiplier. Different modes have varying multipliers, with the online mode giving the largest bonus. It'd be silly not to play online. Indicators clearly show how many players have joined, and a timer that will force the match to start. More often than not, 60 seconds are dedicated to waiting for the game to start. The game openly shows empty player slots, but disguises computer-possessed players with false usernames. A group of non-playable Waddle Dees will appear in races. They're clearly distinguishable compared to the Ghost Kirbys. They're cool. Eating strawberries and rolling around in food is fun, but it's the rewards at the end that give a sense of progression. New costumes, colors, music tracks, and more are on a long list of items to collect. At first I thought minigame, race, and battle stage unlocks made splinter random matchmaking. After some testing, it seems a bit worse. At rank 69, I tried to queue at the same time as a friend who was at rank 62. Yet, it was impossible to get into the same match. Absolutely impossible. Between those ranks, new colors, music tracks, and a costume were added. Even rank 69 to 64 couldn't match. It was only after matching ranks that we could randomly find each other. And even that took multiple attempts. Kirby's Dream Buffet is very picky about putting players together. Victories and skill level likely make the divide in lobbies much more granular. If the game mixed lower rank players with higher ones, it could spoil rewards and give less incentive to unlock stages. By closing it off, everyone sees the appropriate amount of content, and it makes matchmaking a drag. The extreme divide with a 60-second wait between matches slows the pacing quite a bit. Offline play avoids the queue, but won't give as strong of a multiplier. It also gives the computer Kirbys a traditional CPU name, admitting the fake usernames in the online mode are a trick. If the offline mode offers the same experience as online does, with the exception of waiting, why can't it have an equal multiplier? The online ghosts are calling out. They want more people to play with, more individuals to spectate, to learn from, more human hours to steal. F-099 will often fluctuate in popularity. Timely events tend to draw players in and fill up the lobbies. There's usually something happening at the top of every hour. With a race requiring so many players, the game's swerving popularity makes computer-possessed players end up on the track. Names will begin to repeat, no matter the time of day. 24-Hour Sleep, Mewtwo, Mach 9, Speed Demon, One Day One Latte, Turbo Taxi. There are actually over 1,000 names for the bots to pick from. Over 1,000 simulated identities crawling around in the code. Some of them reference other Nintendo games. All of them are fresh boost power. Event modes, such as World Tour, encourage players to band together and drive out the computers. The higher the human player count, the bigger the score multiplier. Humans should have equal competition with one another, not against computers. Many failed drivers are reincarnated as a lucky bumper. They've been placed on the course to hunt living racers. In between hours, lobbies can dry up. Events occur on a rotation, meaning certain modes can only be played at specific times. Grand Prix? Gotta wait. Pro Tracks? That's ending soon. And if none of that fancy stuff is interesting, there's always a standard race. With only 2 online modes to pick from, people are funneled together. The population can fluctuate, but the F-099 community is dedicated to pushing out the phantom drivers. And bumpers. Computer-possessed players are everywhere. So many games have implemented them. And for what? To create a simulation of other human beings? To give players a sensation of an active community? Some games have become an active ghost town with misleading and fake usernames. Taiko no Tatsujin, Drum and Fun, is a game I've spent a lot of time with. The series is a staple of the rhythm game genre. In late 2019, an online mode was added to the game, over a year after its initial release. I had no prior knowledge of the update and was surprised to stumble upon its addition one day. The online mode featured monthly challenges with unlockable items to keep players interested. There were new customizable titles, icons, and phrases, but most importantly, new songs. The concept is simple. Play 24 different songs before the end of the month to earn a new one. The amount would occasionally fluctuate, but it often stuck to 24. If every song was 2 minutes long, that'd be 48 minutes of playtime per month. The selection of playable songs changed weekly, with 10 being available at a time. This made it a requirement to play almost every week in order to receive the new song. To make matters even worse, it was difficult to find other players online. I'd stay awake into the dark of night, bleary-eyed, waiting to find other players on the opposite side of the globe. At the mercy of matchmaking, when someone finally emerged, there was still a chance of playing a duplicate song. Replaying a song from the weekly selection wouldn't count for the monthly challenge. Duplicates quickly became a dreadful time sink. When accounting for slow matchmaking, a limited song selection, and repeat tracks, 48 minutes of playtime quickly stretches into hours and hours being spent every month. Was it worth it? Yes. With the game being delisted in 2023, the population has seen a finite cap. Only so many copies of the game were sold. As such, only the remainder is left to roam the abandoned online rooms. It's nigh impossible to find others and increase ranking anymore. Maybe the computers aren't so bad. Maybe the focus isn't about simulating an online experience, but rather allowing players to make progress and earn rewards. Without anybody to play against, there's no way to level up, no way to complete challenges. The computer-possessed players are there to blend in and fill the void. They give a chance to play the game. It'd be nice to have a room full of human players online, but it might not be realistic. I'd rather not idle in a lobby for minutes on end without anything to do. Games can try to be timely with events or updates. Some titles go on sale to grab new customers. Others limit options to unify players. Even with the best efforts, there's no guarantee that it'll work. Smaller developers may understand their popularity and opt for local multiplayer. Bigger ones aren't immune from making friend-only lobbies. The best way to avoid ghost opponents and abandoned rooms is to reach out. Invite a friend, search for new communities online. There's bound to be another human willing to play, and new friends to be made. An online game might seem unplayable on the surface, but it might just need a little bit of communication to get going. Alright, I'll try this. Obake Doro. I don't know anybody who's talked about this game. There are very few players on Steam, so I'll try it on Switch. That was quick. But, I do feel a little bit out of place. 400 hours? 300? 1,000? This game is far from abandoned. I think I need an exorcist.
Browser-based video games were an extremely accessible platform from the late 90s all the way through the 2010s. All you had to do was install Flash Player and Shockwave, and you were granted an endless supply of B-grade video games on any computer for free. And it was just as accessible to game designers too. Anyone could snag a copy of Flash, make their crazy idea for a game, put it up on Newgrounds, and players would leave really mean comments about it. Those were the days. I had no attention span as a kid, so I never bothered to complete any of my favorites. I would just play the first level over and over, so I never got to see what the ending of these games were like. So let's do it. Let's go back in time and beat some terrible old browser games. Let's start off with likely the most iconic Flash game of all time, Ultimate Flash Sonic, released in 2004. It currently has 17 million views on Newgrounds, and that's not even counting how many views it would have gotten from it getting ripped and reposted all around the internet at the time. Considering how insanely popular it was, I wouldn't be surprised if this was one of the first video games I was ever exposed to. Now, compared to all the other Sonic Flash games on the internet, this one is still seriously impressive. It uses ripped sprites from Sonic Advance, which look great, the physics are decent, the level design's alright, grinding on rails is fun. So when I say beating terrible old browser games, I don't mean these games are bad or anything. In fact, most of the games I'm talking about in this video accomplish everything they're trying to do. Browser games are generally poorly coded and inefficient or broken because they're made by junior developers probably very quickly and very haphazardly. So when I say they're terrible, I more mean that in the technical sense. Playing through some of these games was incredibly difficult because they were so buggy that they would soft block and I'd have to reset, and Ultimate Flash Sonic is no exception. I ran into a bunch of glitches ranging from minor to incredibly annoying. Some of the sprites aren't lined up correctly and it makes Sonic look like he's just kind of jittering around while walking sometimes. But the biggest annoyance is that sometimes when Sonic spin attacks an enemy, the enemy still hurts him, which goes against the basic rules of Sonic. Another thing that makes Ultimate Flash Sonic so impressive is that there are multiple playable characters, including unlockable ones and cheats that are rewarded as you complete the game in different ways. But really the biggest problem that I have with it is that it's very short. There are 4 stages and that's it. You get to see the credits scroll literal minutes after the game begins. Though to be fair, you can also beat the actual Sonic Advance casually in like 25 minutes, and Ultimate Flash Sonic probably took some teenager a week to make, so of course I understand, but selfishly I wish it was longer. But yeah, great game, highly recommended. Oh, and by the way, I'm playing all these games in Flashpoint Archive. Much love and respect to that team. Thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for keeping browser games accessible to everyone. All right, moving on. Let's talk about LEGO Studios Backlot, released in 2002 for Shockwave 3D, which I consider to be the coolest Shockwave 3D game ever. I revisit this game all the time. I love how it looks. It's like this fusion of Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 1. So the player character rolls up to LEGO Studios to get a tour, and then Johnny Thunder, this huge movie star, shows up and starts ranting about how somebody stole all his stuff. And you, the player character, are quite the good Samaritan, so you have to go find Johnny Thunder's stuff. You have to find his hat, his pistol, and his binoculars. The first thing I do whenever I start a playthrough of this game is I get the flower. You'll need the flower later. So for the binoculars, they're on top of a cherry picker, and you're supposed to enable the generator and then lower the cherry picker so you can get them. But there's nothing at all stopping you from just 3D platforming up the cherry picker to get them. So I always do that because it's more fun. You knock the binoculars down, pick them up, and then now we have the binoculars. Yippee! So for the pistol, you gotta jump up these boxes right here and then get up these stairs. It is not as easy as it looks because the physics in this game are silly, trademark. I like this part where I walk up the stairs, bump into the woman, and then almost fall off and lose all my progress. The tailor says you just happen to be exactly Johnny Thunder's size. How convenient. So you try on his clothes, and the pistol was in his pocket the whole time. And now we have Johnny's prop pistol. Yippee! One more to go. Johnny's hat is inexplicably behind these random paintings. So if you go back behind this one, you can just pick it up. And that's all of Johnny Thunder's stuff. Time to go back and return it all to him. When you return all the stuff, he gives you an autograph and a job offer. And that is the end of level 1. And now level 2, go for coffee. So yeah, the job that he offered us was to be the coffee boy for the more important people. So you gotta head to the locker room and pick up your stuff. There's only one thing in your locker. It's a walkie-talkie and that's it. But now the assistant production manager can walkie you whenever you need something. Sometimes the physics are very silly. Look how high I jumped here. My God. I thought he was about to do a slam dunk with a jump that high. Anyway, so you head to stage 2. You have to ask 3 staff members what kind of coffee they want. Go fetch it from the cafeteria and then give each person their respective order. I like to go and get the coffee first because I know you only need one of each kind. The camera director guy wants an espresso, and after you give it to him, you can skip an entire stupid obstacle course by jumping on top of his camera and then jump all the way to the end of the platforming segment it and then give the script supervisor her coffee. And then you can go backwards to reach the last guy and then give him his coffee. And that's the end of level 2, and now on to level 3, which is Quiet on the Set. It's the final level of the game, and it's also the longest, which makes sense for a grand finale type deal. But before we take a look at level 3, it's time for the ad. This video is sponsored by Fabletics, and I want to take a moment to talk about why I've been so impressed with their activewear. The quality is great, the designs stand out, it's comfortable and it's supportive, the fabric is soft and durable, and everything is designed to move with you. So whether you're working out, hitting the treadmill, or just going about your day, Fabletics will have your back. And I especially appreciate the function that goes with the form, like zip pockets, waistbands that actually stay in place, and sweat-wicking fabric that keeps me dry even during a serious workout. These details can make a difference, and you can feel the meticulous effort that went into each piece. If you're looking for value, sign up for their VIP program. New members get an intro offer of 80% off the entire site. After that, VIPs get up to 50% off every day, and each month you'll get 1 credit that can be used for a 2-piece outfit or any item up to $100. The membership is also totally flexible. You can skip any month without getting charged, and there are extra perks too, like early access to new collections, exclusive VIP-only sales, and even a free membership to the Fabletics Fit app for guided workouts. I'm not gonna lie, I've never worn a tank top before in my entire life. This is actually my first time. I don't even know if I'm doing it right. To check it out and claim your 80% off intro offer, just click the link in the description below, and thanks again to Fabletics for sponsoring this segment. And now, on with the show. All right, so level 3. So it starts off, you gotta head to stage 1, and we've got a lot of work to do. Bart the stunt guy didn't show up, Frank the scriptwriter hasn't finished the script, and Rex won't come out of his trailer. First thing we're gonna do is the stunt. So the stunt outfit is right there, and when you're wearing this outfit, they think you're Bart, the stunt guy. Oh wow, thank God you showed up. I was trying to do a sequence break here, but I think there's an invisible wall there that prevents you from going into the alligator pen before talking to the guy. But yeah, he just says to jump across the alligators. So the physics are weird in this part, and you have to like very carefully make these jumps. If you fall in, then you have to reset and do the whole thing over. You just have to barely touch the forward arrow and then press space, and you have to get exactly the right speed of jump arc or you're gonna fall in. I've practiced this enough that I got this in 1 try, and I was so happy that I did, because this part is miserable if you have to keep redoing it. But that's not all for this segment. You have to go up this Donkey Kong ramp and dodge the barrels. Honestly, I just got lucky that I didn't get hit by anything and just made it up once again, first try. And then there's the catapult. Now, thankfully this part is scripted, so you can't mess it up, but there is a part that you can mess up, which is coming up here. That pie is a physics object, and if you touch it with your leg, it will fly in any direction and then go out of bounds where you can't get it. Ask me how I know. The least risky way to do it is to not walk towards the pie, but instead to just look generally in that direction and then press control to pick it up. But yeah, now that we have the pie, we can give it to this guy, and then he'll give it to Rex, who is locked inside of his trailer because I guess he's upset, and the pie will make him feel better. So we've done the stunt and we made Rex feel better, so now we just have to get the scriptwriter back. You gotta exit stage 1 by going up that ladder and then jumping across to the exit. So Frank is hiding away in the commissary, mourning that he has a crush on a staff member named Giselle and he doesn't know how to tell her. And the flowers that we got earlier are coming into play. You have to give them to Giselle and say that they're from Frank. Giselle loves the flowers and thinks Frank is cute, so she writes a note for him, and then you gotta deliver the note to him. And then somehow, magically, he finishes the script and hands it off to you. You hand the script to the director says, "Hooray, you got it, oh my gosh." Rex comes out of his trailer, they do the shoot, and it rocks. It is the coolest thing ever, and then the game ends. Congratulations! You saved Johnny Thunder's new picture and got promoted to director? What? I don't think that's how that works. They just found this guy like 3 days ago, and they're like, "You're the director now! You make the movie!" I was able to complete the game in 15 minutes, but that's just me gunning main quest and not talking to anybody and not doing any of the exploration stuff. Needless to say, I love LEGO Studios Backlot. I think it's brilliant. It's amazingly charming, and it's a shining example of what Shockwave 3D was capable of. Give LEGO Studios Backlot a try if you like weird old games. Yeah! Alright, so next up, let's talk about another Flash game. This is Mario Starcatcher 2, one of the first video games I ever remember playing. This game is very rudimentary. It's got a giant empty screen with tiny sprites on it. There's no such thing as a scrolling camera or anything of the sort. It ignores all of the standard Mario platformer rules, like this P-switch just opens that brick. I don't know why. Now, you see those sliding platforms? Those platforms don't carry Mario with them. You have to keep tapping the right arrow to move Mario to make sure he doesn't fall into the pit and die. Now that exclamation mark block makes the top platform start moving, and the next exclamation mark block, when you hit it, makes the platform move to the left. And the third and final exclamation mark block makes the brick fall, and then you can get the star. I love the bootleggy aspect of Flash games. How like they have no consistency and they're buggy and they're weird and like things clash or don't make sense. Like why is Paper Mario on the top left. And this level design is so anti-fun and like looks terrible. I actually think that something that a kid would make in Super Mario Maker would look better than this and play a heck of a lot better than this. But here's the thing. I was probably 5 years old playing this. I didn't care. In fact, I kept coming back to this. I specifically remember playing Mario Starcatcher 2 over and over and over again. Entirely possible that it was as simple as I see the Mario and I click. Because with level design that has such advanced shenanigans such as this, look at this! What are they doing? Color-coded platform nonsense with physics as broken as this is very unfun! I do like the block that kills the piranha plant though, that's very clever. The levels keep trying to outdo themselves by adding gradually more and more shenanigans as they go. By the way, speaking of dismissing the rules of Mario, you can't jump on Goombas in this game. If you touch them at all, from any direction, you just die instantly. This one's kind of insane. You have to hit both of these exclamation mark blocks to remove those blocks on the bottom so that you can push this weird Bowser statue and have it shoot flames into the final exclamation mark block, and that creates a bunch of platforms on the top that you can jump onto and then get the star. Oh my god. Okay, so this one's insane. So you have to shoot the bullet at the P-switch, and then that makes the giant pixel block come out of the lava, and you jump on that, and then it moves up. Then you hit the other P-switch, and that makes the lava drain, and that's where the star is. How did they even come up with that? Level 19 is the hardest level in the game because there's so much going on. The flying beetle in the top right has this really weird path that you have to like memorize in order to not get hit by it, but once you're past that, you're pretty much golden. And once you beat level 19, you move on to level 20, which is a boss fight with a scripted animation. It's great! Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut out this next part of the cutscene because it uses copyrighted music. However, I can show you this little part where Mario and Bowser clash. I'm not even gonna cap. This boss fight's actually pretty fun. But if you get hit one time, you have to restart the entire fight. If you survive the entire 45 seconds of the fight, then you are victorious. So once you dodge and juke Bowser a couple times, then he grows really big, and then you can grab his tail and start spinning him around, slamming into the wall. You have to do that 3 times. After the 3rd time, the final star is revealed, and then you have to finish him, Mortal Kombat style. I selected the spiky ball on a chain, and that's the end of the game. Thank you so much, 42, playing my game. You can revisit the levels and grab all the coins if you want. I don't want to. I have closure now. Thank you for the 20 years of entertainment, friend. Did you know there was a Paul Blart Mall Cop Shockwave 3D game that released in 2008? I sure didn't, but I played through the whole thing anyway. Look at this funny 3D man! I love him! All right, so you have 5 minutes to get 20,000 score. You can pick up little badges that gives you 500 points each, but it's not a very fast way to gain score. The main way is to wait for an alarm to go off and then go to the respective part on the map where that alarm is and then disable it. There are also criminals you can chase around, and once you run into them with your electric scooter thing, they just fall over and you get 5,000 points. Most of the time playing this game, I wasn't even looking at the game. I was looking at the map to see where the red flashing circle was that I needed to go to next. Sometimes there's a major event that sets off all the alarms in a certain hall, and you have to go roll over to each one individually. It's always worth it to drop whatever you're doing to chase the criminal because they're worth 5,000 points, and that's a lot. And if the criminal escapes, you lose 1,000 points. And catching criminals has an extra reward on top of it, which is that Paul Blart, every time you catch a criminal, will say scuba dooby doo.
Scuba dooby doo.
What does catching a criminal in a mall have anything to do with Scooby-Doo or scuba diving? The joke doesn't work because the only 2 parts of the joke have nothing to do with what's happening. Okay, so I haven't seen this movie in 16 years, so I looked up the clip that this voice line is from. Paul Blart plops an oxygen tank onto a table and looks at the guy and he says, "Hey you, scuba doobert," and then he knocks the top of the oxygen tank off and it flies into the guy and knocks him down. An oxygen tank is a thing that you'd use while scubaing, but they've just removed all of the context of the joke and put it in the game anyway. Scuba dooby doo. After a long day of disabling alarms and catching criminals, shift complete. And the next level is the night shift. Night shift is actually a little easier because there's no people, so you don't have to worry about crashing into somebody every 1 second. But yeah, the main difference is that the score requirement is higher. Aside from that, it's the exact same as yesterday. If you don't lock in and prioritize the criminals above everything else, then you're not going to reach your score goal in time. For the 3rd and final level, it's rush hour, so there's way more people in the mall, and so way more people to crash into. The mall goers are definitely an obstacle, but the main obstacle is the 40,000 score requirement. It's actually kind of tough to get that in 5 minutes. There's a massive uptick in criminal activity in this level, so you have to ignore the alarms most of the time and just focus on getting the criminals. But there's this green alarm little icon floating around, and if you get that, then it sets all of the alarms in the entire building to okay. It is always way faster to go all around the mall looking for one of those little alarm icons than it is to actually manually set them all to okay. Because remember, we're not only fighting for score, we're also racing against the clock. I was able to squeak out a 40,000 score with 30 seconds remaining. Scuba dooby doo indeed, my friend. But I'm so cracked at this game that I actually made it to 50,000 score before the shift completed. I guarantee you I am one of maybe 12 people on Earth that have ever seen this game completed screen. But yeah, 23.5 minutes to beat Paul Blart Mall Cop on Shockwave 3D. Alrighty, next up we got Mario Combat, one of my very favorite Flash games of all time. I used to play this thing over and over back in the Newgrounds days. I love the sprite work and the dynamic camera. Oh, it's so satisfying. What a great game. In this playthrough, I'm trying to do like a casual speed run, so I'm just trying to run through everything as fast as possible, just to see how fast I can get to Bowser and defeat him. So at the time that I played this game over and over, it ran at probably like a third this frame rate. So seeing it run buttery smooth is really satisfying. They actually made a sequel to this game called Mario Combat Deluxe, which I remember I never liked as much because they changed the art away from the sprites to like hand-drawn art, and they made Mario look really like Newgroundsy, for lack of better terminology. Like they added blood and everything, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. The custom sprite work was such a nice touch that it was a shame to see it removed. Here there's a rising platform segment, so you can actually see some of the combat that I have been skipping up until this point just for speed's sake. And there's a Bowser boss fight, which is actually super fun. The only thing that matters in this fight are the 2 health bars, yours and Bowser's. If you fall off, you'll just respawn, which is very generous of them. You gotta be careful not to be in the center of those little purple orbs because they'll drain your health real quick. Bowser can spit fireballs, but sometimes they're glitched to where he spits a fireball once every frame, and so they shoot out really, really fast and drain your health really quickly. I have had to reset because of that before. Once Bowser's health bar reaches 0, he falls, and then that's the end of the game. We've beaten it in 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Mario Combat is so much fun! I love this game. It could have easily been turned into a tedious beat 'em up, but they kept it short and sweet, and I respect them so much for that. Next up, we've got Lego Supersonic RC, which is a Shockwave 3D game from 2003. I'm pretty sure this was one of the first times that I was ever exposed to 3D physics in a video game. The way the car's suspension works and how it bounces and shifts is so amazing, especially for 2002, especially for a browser game. Lego absolutely cooked with this, and Lego Backlot, what is happening? All right, sorry, let me explain what's actually happening here. You have to do 2 laps around the place collecting stars within the time limit. The setting is awesome. It's some sort of toy store filled to the brim with Lego stuff. It feels like the kind of map that people would port to Thug Pro. If that hasn't already been done, can somebody please do that? Or actually, you know what? Plug it into like Mario Kart Wii or something, like as a battle map. That would be perfect. But yeah, there's also a stunt system where if you go off ramps and do cool flips, it rewards you with points. Once you collect the final star for the second lap, you finish the first game mode and can now move on to the second, which is checkpoint chase. This one's essentially the same, except you only have 10 seconds to get each star. This one's not so bad as long as you go straight for the star each time. After 2 laps, you unlock the stunt rally. There's no more checkpoints, you just have to do cool tricks. This one's pretty tough because it's hard to find places to consistently do tricks back to back. The 2-minute time limit on 2,500 points is absolutely brutal. But I did find a couple places that you can repeatedly do tricks and get a bunch of score. This ramp right here is pretty easy to do a cool flip off of. Whee! So that's a pretty easy 250 points right there. But this skateboard ramp right here is the real meta, because if you go off of it at this corner right here, you tap against this wood and then you do a bunch of spins, boom, right there, 325. And you can just do it over and over. It's great. The way that it calculates score is just based on the rotation of your car. So if you're in the air and your car rotates a bunch of times in any direction, I think, it'll just dish out a ton of points. Trying to consistently get your car to do a bunch of cool flips is really hard, and that's why this game mode is so difficult. I feel like this awesome spin should have given me more than that, but fair enough, I guess. If you end up flipping your car over, it doesn't count as having landed yet, so you just have to wait a little while until it eventually does some kind of check to flip your car over, and then it gives you the points. After a long trek of flipping this car over and over, I finally unlocked the scavenger hunt mode. In the scavenger hunt mode, you're collecting boxes of the Lego RC car that you're driving. Yes, it is a real Lego Racer set. Of course it is. This is an advert game. Mommy, I would like to humbly request this Lego Racer set for my birthday. Thank you. Let me see if any of these are listed on eBay really quick. What? How? Why? Why is it $700? Why is it $700? No! This can't be! No! Ah! Whatever, at least I can collect the boxes in-game. in great quantities, in fact. It's a shame that I wasn't in the stunt rally mode when I got this absolutely disgustingly filthy flippity doodah, because I feel like I would have gotten 10s across the board for that one. Each box is 100 points, and once you collect 3,000 points, then you get Supersonic Challenge, which is the final and hardest game mode. It's a combination of everything we've done so far. You have to collect stars, you have to collect the prizes, which are the Lego boxes, and you have to do sick tricks to get 15,000 points. I'm pretty good at this game now. I'm really good at getting to the checkpoints quickly. I know where a lot of the boxes are. I can do the tricks pretty consistently. Having to squeeze everything into the time limit once again was the thing that kept bodying me. I was terrified that I was going to choke in the last few seconds, but I didn't. I won the Supersonic Challenge. I am the ultimate Supersonic RC champion, and you are rewarded with nothing. It just kicks you back to the menu. No animation, no kill screen, no anything. I grinded on this game for almost an hour just for some text that says congratulations. But it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. The journey of making a YouTube video for people to passively listen to while not really paying attention. You're my favorite kind of viewer because you get to be blissfully unaware that I put this image on the screen. And up next we have Castle Cat, one of my very favorite Flash game series of all time. Castle Cat was genuinely so formative to me and formative to my taste in games and formative to my taste in art. I really, really love Castle Cat. VC, you are the absolute man. I hope you're at peace. I hope you're having a beer in heaven right now, dog. That all being said, I can't use any of the music from this game because it is all copyrighted, so I'm just gonna acapella all the music in the game. So let's get started. I ended up getting a really fast speedrun in this game, and I'm very proud of it. You have to dodge the armor guys and the tornadoes. Those are your two big obstacles. You have to be careful where you step because if you walk into the path of an armor guy or into the path of a tornado, it'll drain your health almost instantly. I think I did too good of a job with the acapella. It's really funny. I'm not sure to laugh at myself. Okay, the boss fight, it's coming up. Here's the boss fight. You have to jump up into the Mega Dragon's chin in order to kill him. You can stand in this corner on the right the entire time and his flames will never hit you. It generally takes 2 cycles to kill him, and then once you beat him, the game ends. I'm really proud of the time on this one. It was 41 seconds to beat the game. I think that's pretty good. I'm very happy with that. And then congratulations, you did it. Or I guess congratulation, just one. Alrighty, moving on to Castle Cat 2. This one was always my childhood favorite. I love how fast-paced and arcadey it is. It's so cool. So in this game, he has some new abilities. He has a mace and a cannon attack. Any video game that takes place in an ocean or beachfront setting, sign me up immediately. I love palm trees and sun rays. Super Mario Sunshine was made for me, you understand? All right, so coming up, we have the Hermit Crab mini-boss. It really isn't too difficult. He goes left, and then right, and then left, and then right, and then you can shoot him, and then the game is like, hey, how about some more of that? And then gives you another Hermit Crab mini-boss. And then this next segment's pretty weird. There's flying fish, and you just have to throw your mace over and over so that you kill them before they hit you. This part used to be really challenging to me as a kid, and then I learned that you can just literally hold the spacebar and the right arrow, and then you'll get through it pretty consistently. And then here's the final boss fight against VC himself from Mosland in a badass giant robot octopus. You'll generally want to use the cannon because it does more damage, but it's kind of hard to aim because he keeps jumping. But if you get the timing right, it really isn't too bad, and you can hit him with the cannonball basically every cycle. And once that health bar drops to 0, we have defeated VZ, the end boss is gone, and we have beaten Castle Cat 2 in 1 minute and 17 seconds. After he explodes like Dr. Robotnik, he's like, you have defeated me, but I will come back. And also Castle Cat with human hand. I was gonna do a Castle Cat 3 segment because I did have footage of me beating that game, but there's a lot of music in it, and I don't want to acapella it, and I don't want to just have it be silent or just use generic music. Also, that game has flashing lights in certain segments, and I don't want to aggressively edit the video to make it palatable for photosensitive people. So I'm just gonna show this and let's just pretend that I showed the whole game. All right, I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go take a nap. Hey, Jessica in 3D, why don't you talk about the Flash game Adventure Ponies?
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm here now. Adventure Ponies is a little out of the standard date range for this channel, being released in the year 2012 on the Hub's official website to promote Season 3 of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. This 8-bit game sees you play as the titular characters running and jumping through these stages to fight several of the big bads from the show. When you start the game, only Twilight Sparkle's unlocked, so she's who I'm gonna play as. The format is super basic, and that's what makes it good. You beat a stage using your pony's special skill, then fight a boss right after. Twilight's special skill is that she can shoot magic blasts from her horn and teleport using designated teleport pads. The stages aren't much to write home about. They're made of the same few building blocks arranged in different ways, but each of the bosses offers its own unique challenge. The first is the dragon, which is a complete pushover. I can usually vibrate the attack button and beat them way before they can reach me. Next is the Hydra, which is a slight step up from the dragon. They've got more health, and I usually have to take a few steps back before I've ended them. You can weave through their legs to buy more time, but it usually doesn't come to that in my experience. Then there's Iron Will, a centaur who's also a life coach and a bully. Yeah, the boss order is pretty strange when you think about it. He charges at you like a bull, so you have to dodge him and then attack him from behind a few times to get the job done. Boss 4 is Gilda, who's a griffin with a bad attitude. She's my least favorite boss to fight. She flies all around this massive stage and then swoops in to hit you with these lightning fast dash attacks. I usually spray and pray to win this fight, which isn't really a strategy, but it gets the job done. The diamond dogs are pretty underwhelming. There are 3 of them, so you'd expect this boss to be pretty tough, but you can just spam attack them like the first boss and all 3 of them will get stun locked until they're down. Pretty easy stuff. The final boss of the game is Discord, the spirit of chaos. He's much harder to beat than the rest of the bosses, with a ton of health, a huge cooldown for vulnerability, and flaming projectiles that I cannot dodge for the life of me. I almost always lose a life in this fight, but I usually have like 7 at this point in the game, so it's no biggie. It's been a long, arduous 6 minutes of the game at this point, so I'll just brute force my way to the end of the fight, and congratulations, you win! With your victory, you'll unlock the next playable character, so I'm gonna run through what each character is capable of before moving on. Rainbow Dash's special skill is that she can fly, which is great because she makes extremely short work of the stages. Unfortunately, flying isn't very useful in boss fights, and neither is her main attack. She has this dash attack that, while pretty cool to look at, is super unwieldy and often results in me taking unnecessary damage with each and every attack. Applejack is next, and I was gonna make fun of her for having to climb ladders since she's an earth pony, but then I realized she's absolutely cracked. Her attack is short range and comes out backwards, but is absolutely devastating and can topple most of these bosses in 2 or 3 hits. The only boss she still really struggles with is Discord, just because it's hard to get close enough to land those devastating blows. She should be careful eating all those apples or she's gonna get a wicked bad tummy ache. The next playable character is Best Pony, sometimes known as Pinkie Pie. I don't think the devs agree with me though, because her moveset is a complete afterthought. She uses her party cannon to fire balloons, but it works exactly like Twilight's magic blasts. The only difference between these two is that she has to climb ladders like Applejack, which would make her the least original character if Rarity weren't here. Rarity is a carbon copy of Twilight, so there's really nothing to talk about with her. The best thing you can say about her is that when you beat her game, you unlock the best character in the game, Fluttershy. Fluttershy has the best 2 abilities in the game. She can fly like Rainbow Dash, but has a little shout for her attack. This shout is just the front-facing version of Applejack's kick, making her both the fastest character and the strongest character. Who would have thought? Anyways, this game rocks and you should play it. Okay, bye-bye now.
I feel much better now that I've had my nap. Thank you, Jessica. Now get out of my house. Where was I? Oh yeah. Speaking of 3D, we have 3 3D games to check out. 3-dimensional Snow Fight, Sweetheart's 3D game, and Laffy Taffy Long-Lasting 3D Pyramid Challenge. Why do I have such insane taste in video games? I have a lot of amazingly fond memories with Robot Duck. I loved all their stuff back in the day. And this is 3-dimensional Snow Fight, one of the first 3D web games, released in 2002 for Shockwave 3D. Now, if the South Park Nintendo 64 game had been any good, I feel like it would have been like this. All right, so it's a very simple objective. You have a certain number of snowmen in each level. You have to hit each one with a snowball, and when you do, then you beat the level. But there's a couple other mechanics at play here too. You have to watch out for the other kids that will throw snowballs at you and knock you down. You also have to pay attention to how many snowballs you're carrying at any given time, and then you have to scoop more up off the ground when you run out. And there's a couple pretty consistent ways to dodge oncoming fire. You can start scooping snowballs up from the ground, and that effectively works like a crouch, or you can backpedal, and then the snowball being thrown at you will just hit the ground in front of you. But the opposing kids don't stay down forever. I think they go down for like 17 seconds seconds. And once the levels start getting harder and they have more enemy kids, trying to knock down an entire horde of them starts to matter less, because then the ones that you knock down first are just going to have enough time to get up. After a couple levels, the game introduces height, like platforms that you can scale and jump around. It's so much fun. Thankfully, the game does have a little bit of aim assist to help you knock down snowmen that are on high platforms, but it also has a dedicated free aim mode that you can toggle with a button press, and that's very nice to have as well. And there are some levels that you can totally take advantage of the free aim. This level expects you to walk around the platform and fight the enemies in order to reach all the snowmen around back. But if you're gamer enough, you can just free look and then aim where you think they would be and trick shot the snowmen from the front. Like, look at this one. Look at this. Lining it up really carefully, missed that one, and then here it goes, and boom! Yeah! Video games that let you do that make me feel so cool. Also, I like that if you beat the level while in free look, it just shows your kid's face. There are 20 levels in the game, and there's a shocking amount of variety between all of them. This one's scary because it's really wide open, and so enemies are just always throwing snowballs at you because they can always see you. And this level has a bunch of structures everywhere that you can hide behind to block oncoming enemy snowball fire. Like, 20 levels doesn't seem like a lot, but on one life, it sure does, because if your energy bar runs out in any level, you're going back to the title screen and you're going back to level 1. So you have to play defensively if you're trying to get all the way to the end. Level 20 is the perfect test of skill. There's lots of narrow corridors and tight turns, and they put enemies in a lot of those tight areas, and so you're definitely going to take a couple hits, unless you're a god gamer like me, of course. And when you take down the final snowman on level 20, victory is yours. You have completed Snow Fight. I was able to clear the game in 17.5 minutes. By the way, in case you guys forgot, I like to mod video games sometimes, so I decompiled Snow Fight 3D and I dropped it into Director, and I was digging around in the code like a nasty little goblin, and I found a fully implemented and unused level select cheat. It was just hidden outside of the frame, so I moved it back into the frame and it just works. I ripped all the level passcodes out of the code and then I put them on the screen on that menu. There it is. There's the level passcode button. You click it. Let's go to level 14, Mokul. And then once you hit back, it verifies the string and then sets it to level 14. And so when you click play, it'll start on level 14. So let's just skip right to the end of the game with Figon. That's level 20. There you go. Look, level 20. This was probably used to make development easier, and I guess they never intended for regular people to have it, or maybe they intended to have it so that the passwords would show after you beat a level and they just never implemented it. Speaking of things they never implemented, on the Robot Duck itch.io page, there is an executable that you can download which has a slightly later version of Snow Fight, and in that version, the end screen teases a 2-player version and a level editor coming in future. It's a shame that never happened. However, I was able to find the unfinished multiplayer screen in the code. It doesn't run, believe me, I've tried, but I can so easily imagine how badass it would have been if this had been completed. So the Robot Duck guy retired from game dev a long time ago. Now he's part of an activist drum team. And I'm not gonna lie, dog, he's out here fighting the good fight. He drummed at the anti-fascist rally. He drummed at the anti-racism rally. He drummed at the March for Palestine. So needless to say, I don't expect him to come back to game dev. It seems like what he's doing now is way more important. So Ben Pitt, if this somehow makes it back to you, thank you for the art. I think you're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Alrighty, so next up we've got the Sweethearts 3D game, released in 2004 for Shockwave 3D. Getting to play a game where you can play as a lizard that eats candy is all I've ever wanted in my entire life. He's so cute. I love how he wiggles. It's my favorite. This lizard is my Can I have the polygon lizard? Mommy, can I have the polygon lizard for my birthday? Okay, sorry. Anyway, that was level 1. Moving on to level 2, it actually gives you a different player, like a different player model each time. So the lizard is gone forever. Forever. You can never play as him again. You have to play as Beach Ball now, like it's Kula World for PS1. Is that a deep cut? Do people know about Kula World for PS1? Anyway, the game starts off really simple. You're just rolling around and collecting all the candy. And when you do, the gate opens and then you can go to the next level. These platforms, it seems like you can just roll off the edge, but there are like a little bit of guardrails that pull you back towards the center. But when you jump, there are no guardrails at all. So you can just jump straight off the cliff if you so desire. But yeah, that's level 2 done. There are actually 6 levels in the whole game. I bet you didn't think you were gonna play as a bubble in this game, but here we are playing as a bubble, and you were wrong. So this one's really confusing because it has like a spirally part in the middle, and there are sweethearts that are on like all of the corners of this weird cylindrical, square-lindrical thing. I don't even know how you describe this. Whatever, the important part is if you keep going straight and eventually jump over all the urchins, then you will get all of the sweethearts eventually. Sweethearts, I don't think I've had sweethearts in like 15 years. Does anyone like those things? Not sponsored, they didn't pay me to talk about sweethearts. You couldn't pay me to talk about sweethearts. Hey kids, how would you like to try our new candy? It's chalky and dry and tastes like a burp. I know what'll get the kids on our side. Let's make a Shockwave 3D game. Can we talk about the logistics logistics of that, this group of poor wage slaves had to spend a month writing thousands of lines of code just to bolster a brand of gross candy. Does releasing a free browser game about sweethearts actually make people want to go and buy sweethearts? Advert games were so popular in the early 2000s, but how can you prove on paper that advert games actually result in more sales? Because to me it feels really disconnected and weird. Sorry, I'll get back on that topic. This is level 4. You play as a little race car driving around and you gotta get sweethearts. I guess I just have to get used to marketing stuff not making sense, because you wouldn't think that a creepy, weird, uncomfortable mascot would sell burgers, because the Burger King, like Sneak King mascot, was incredibly successful and brought so much attention to the worst fast food restaurant, except for Arby's. Anyway, sorry, I'm talking about the stupid Sweethearts game. Watch me clip through this. And now I have to play the entire level again. What a pleasure, what a joy. As I just demonstrated, this level has a lot of platforming and it's weirdly precise because of the tiny hitboxes. In level 5, you play as a skateboard, and they introduced a new mechanic here, which is those little tacks. If you touch those tacks, even the slightest little bit, it will teleport you out into just an endless void and then you die. You have to very carefully edge your way right around the side, and if you do it just right, you shall survive. This level plays around with gravity a lot, so if you jump in the wrong place at the wrong time, you're gonna just plummet somewhere in some direction. And the 6th and final level is a bonus level, and they brought the car back from level 4. Not sure why. I guess this one was the developer's favorite. This one's actually the easiest level of all of them, because if you just keep going along the track, you will inevitably hit all of the corners of it. That is, if you make all of the treacherous jumps over the cactuses and not fall into a pit to your doom, then victory shall be yours. I think level 5 was by far the most difficult, primarily just because it was a gauntlet. That level is so long. But yeah, that's the end of the game. Please don't play this. It's not very good. I didn't have a lot of fun with it. I liked the first few levels because they were short and sweet, and then they got longer and longer and more annoying. Speaking of longer, we have another Wonka game to talk about. It's the Laffy Taffy long-lasting 3D Pyramid Challenge. How long do you think it lasts? How long do you think this game is? Genuinely guess right now. They had to make it long in order for the title to make sense. How long do you think it is? The answer shall be revealed at the end of this segment. Right, so you're running around this 3D labyrinth. It just seems completely aimless, right? There's no landmarks, there's nothing to go off of. And you're sort of right. The map fills out as you walk around, Metroid style. So at this point, it's entirely guesswork as to where you're headed. One of these Laffy Taffy panels will glean a piece of the map. So it'll reveal one corner, and then we can use that for reference. But yeah, there are 3 floors in this game, and we have to find all of the Laffy Taffy panels, some of which will give us a key that will allow us to open a Laffy Taffy panel door. And once we have all 5 of the Laffy Taffy keys, then we can ascend to the next floor. Your flashlight is like your health bar, so when you run into one of these monsters, I forget what they're called, they eat some of your flashlight's energy, and then, you know, it's essentially the same as you losing health. A lot of the time, these guys are completely blocking a path that you have to go down, so you just usually have to take the hit. Later on, when your map is more filled out, you actually can use it for reference. I don't know where all the keys are, so I just have to get every single panel on the floor. Here's what the map looks like when it's fully filled out. The opaque ones are the ones that I need to get. The black ones I've already gotten. I can use the first 3 keys to extend these platforms, and that leads to the block room, and I have to use the sequence that I found in the maze to get across the block room. And then there's the rope chamber. You just have to press space at the exact right time to grab the rope, and then do the same thing to grab the next one. If you don't tap the spacebar at the exact right time, you're gonna fall. And then you gotta find the final cherry key, which is in the last part of level 1. So you're back to exploring the maze, activating panels to get the last key, and then you can exit. You know, this map would be a whole lot more helpful if it showed me which way I was facing, and I didn't have to reverse engineer what direction I was going at any given time. Because oftentimes, gameplay ends up being me taking a few steps, opening the map, closing it, taking a few steps, opening the map, closing it. But yeah, that's it. I found the cherry key. Now I can go up the cherry stairs, and now we're on level 2. And oh my god, level 1 took 19 minutes. Why did they make the 3D Pyramid Challenge so long lasting. Level 2 is almost exactly identical, so I'm just gonna hustle through it. The biggest difference is that the rope swing is a little harder. I kept falling on this one. The ropes don't line up with every swing, and the timing's a little different. Oh my god, 20 minutes later, I have the banana key, and I went up the banana stairs, and now we're at level 3. When I first saw this, I started to panic because I was like, for the love of God, don't make me get 8 keys, please. But thankfully, this level is formatted completely differently. This level is very open. It's not even a maze. All the panels are just lined up in this open room. So you can just sequentially go through and collect everything at once. It's so satisfying after the 40 minutes of hell. So you head across the Laffy Taffy bridges, do another block room, do another rope chamber. This one is the hardest of all of them. And then you have to find the final chocolate key to activate the chocolate staircase and find the mystical chocolate Laffy Taffy. The chocolate panel's being guarded by one of those monsters. The chocolate key is now mine. Use it on the chocolate staircase, and almost an hour later, we have completed the Laffy Taffy long-lasting 3D pyramid challenge. I actually felt like I was losing my mind at the end of this. Oh my god. By the way, I didn't click the mouse to skip that cutscene. I stopped my live split timer, and that made it reset to the beginning of the game. I got to enjoy like 2 seconds of that victory screen. Whatever, I can just copy and paste the video clip that I have of the ending. It's not like it's any more than 3 frames. Yeah, that's right. The chocolate Laffy Taffy is mine! All right, that's all the content that I have for you today. Patreon.com/Clue. Thank you to everyone that supports me on there. By the way, I have a new merch store, Clue.Inc. Very reasonably priced t-shirts and stickers, and I'm adding new designs all the time. I'm not even gonna cap right now. I have like 4 canker sores in my mouth. One is under my tongue, and I had no choice but to record the entire video like this. It hurts to talk, and I have to talk. It's my job. So if you notice me talking weird in this video, please forgive me. I am in unbelievable pain. I am taking L-lysine with vitamin B12, vitamin C, and zinc. I switched to an SLS-free toothpaste. I'm gargling with salt water. I'm using Rinsanol. I don't think any of it is doing anything. I've been having canker sores constantly since I was a kid, and like medically, they don't know what the cause of canker sores is. And I know it's not an existing autoimmune thing because I get tested. It's not that. I've already cut out soda, and I already don't drink very much alcohol, so I cut that out too. Completely genuinely. If you guys have any suggestions for how to get rid of canker sores, please, please. I've looked at all the Reddit threads. I'm running out of options here. If I talk to a doctor, they're just gonna say for me to do the things I'm already doing. Wow, most people don't watch this far into the video. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you guys really soon, okay? Bye-bye. clones, and SpongeBob's Bubble Pop is no exception. The physics can be a little weird, and hitting the barrels at the top of the screen to clear the level can be deceptively difficult, but this game's just fine. Sandy's Surf Adventure is a standard issue arcade-style shoot-'em-up. Invasion of the Hooks, you throw Krabby Patties at the hooks to save your friends, but the real games are these two at the bottom. Patrick and the Maze is great. You explore the maze and try to find your friends while solving small puzzles, collecting power-ups, and playing minigames along the way. But the final game is my absolute favorite. It's the Super Chum Bucket. It's a 2D platformer with stiff movement and precise jumps. You just get to the top of each level while dodging obstacles, and it's super satisfying. But because you can't save, I haven't put in the time to getting all the way to the end. Someday I'll complete it. The 8-bit sound effects and the lack of music may be disappointing, but when I was a kid, it was just cool to see a plug and play with original games instead of just another retro compilation. I think they did a pretty good job with this unit overall. I think it's great. And here's another SpongeBob one from 2007, which is surprisingly late. Like, this was after Steven Hillenburg left and the show got bad. Like, the Nintendo Wii was out. Like, it's weird how late this one is. And that makes sense because this is the most technically impressive plug and play I have ever seen, and probably will ever see. This unit has 4 games, starting with Jellyfish Dodge. When you select the game, it asks you if you want to overwrite your save data, and then it drops you into a level select screen. This thing has a single player campaign with linear progression and a save system. It's just a plug and play. You didn't have to go that hard. You run around smacking a certain number of jellyfish to get the exit to open, or you complete some sort of objective like surviving for 60 seconds. And the next game, Guide and Collide, is a puzzle game where you place blocks to direct jellyfish to SpongeBob so that he can catch them. For lack of better comparison, it's kind of like Choo Choo Rocket. There seems to be a lot of depth and a lot of moving parts here. If I liked puzzle games more, I'd be all over this, but I don't. So I'm not. And the third game is Snowball Showdown. It's a turn-based artillery game where you choose where to aim, how much power to use, and you try to hit your opponent with snowballs. This one's more multiplayer focused, and you pass the controller to your friends back and forth. The final game is my absolute favorite, Sponge Pop. It's a full remake of SpongeBob's Bubble Pop from the 2003 unit, but with better physics, better sound, better animations, more power-ups, just overall better everything. Am I engaging with plug-and-play fan service right now? Is this SpongeBob's Bubble Pop rehydrated? Okay, so let me put into perspective why these plug-and-plays are interesting, right? So at the time in the early 2000s, if you wanted to engage with video games, assuming you already had a TV, you had to buy the console, you had to buy your controller, you had to buy a game, you had to buy a memory card. Video games were not a cheap hobby by any stretch of the imagination. And that level of buy-in was a pretty big investment. But the compromise that plug-and-play TV games offered seemed pretty tempting. For $30, you could throw some batteries in this thing, plug it in your TV, and you get to play a SpongeBob game. Now, did it offer an experience that was on par with Battle for Bikini Bottom? Maybe not, but that was the nature of the compromise. You're compromising some quality in favor of accessibility. But today, video games have never been more accessible. It's not often that you really need to compromise anymore, especially when things like the ROG Ally X exist. A big huge thanks to Asus for sponsoring this video. The ROG Ally X is a handheld Windows gaming PC, and easily the best I've ever gotten my hands on, so you can play the top tier SpongeBob game, the latest AAA games, and everything in between wherever you go. Out of the box, it's got 1 terabyte of M.2 2280 SSD storage, which is already more than enough for most people to fit all their favorite games, but if you want more, the storage is upgradable. But fast storage isn't as useful without fast RAM to get those loading speeds snappy. So it's got 24 gigabytes of LPDDR5X 7500 megahertz memory. That's going to let you push more frames and higher resolutions. It's got an 80 watt-hour battery, so you don't need to be constantly camping out next to a power outlet. But when you do, it's got fast charge, so it can go from 0 to 50% in just 30 minutes. With the high refresh rate screen with controls this good for a device this ergonomic, you're going to want all the battery life you can get. So check the link on screen or in the description below and check out the Asus ROG Ally X for yourself. I am truly amazed and flabbergasted that this thing is as good as it is, but I've had enough fun. I want to look at something horrible, and I'm going to show it to you right now. It's the Sleeping Beauty plug and play. I can't blame her for looking so apathetic. I wouldn't be very enthused either if all I had to look forward to was being manhandled by a giant, because she is the joystick. A very uncomfortable one, I'm sure you're surprised to hear. I also hate to admit that it took me a very long time to find the power switch. It's hidden right in plain sight, right here. And don't even act like you would have found it immediately and I'm stupid for not noticing it. There are 3 games. Let's start with Voice of the Forest. You walk around the forest and you gotta find your animal friends. And when you sing, a little icon appears that gives you a hint to where they are. Once you find them, they follow you back to your cottage, and that's how you complete the level. And you have to find more animals each time. Next is Fairies in Flight. You fly upward and blast goons with the correctly colored laser. It's extremely basic and I got bored of it almost immediately. And the final game is Birthday Celebration. You have to stack the cakes like the arcade game Stacker, better, but you have to make sure the color matches the layer below. I like it, but once again, it's very simple and didn't hold my attention for long. For some reason, these games read like a Game Boy Advance game to me. Something about the presentation feels like it would fit perfectly on the GBA. For a kid's game, it's charming enough, but wow, this joystick is horrible. And whoever decided to add glitter that rubs off on your hands needs to be fired. And next up we have, oh no. No, but like, okay, this is his face, right? This is the face. So this would be his head, right? And then what? Is he a unicorn? What is this? Why does it look like that? There's something about this, I'm sorry. There are 5 games, and if the music currently playing didn't give it away, they are all absolutely dumpster tier. First off is Streets of the City. You web up goons and beat them up while collecting bags of cash. This game uses all 3 buttons, A to jump, B to web and punch, and the spider button to web swing. The controls are so appalling and inconsistent in a way that I can't even put into words. All I can say is that it's frustrating immediately. If you have one of these things, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Spider Training is the second game. You shoot webs at the bad guys and don't shoot the good guys. It is very one note. Next is Venom's Vindication. Venom will throw bombs down and you have to shoot a web to catch the bombs before they hit the ground. It's really annoying because goons will come from either side and start punching you, but you don't have time to punch the goons and web up the bomb at the same time, so you're just gonna have to take a hit one way or the other. And they expect you to web up 30 bombs in a row. Next up is Escape from the Sewers. It's an old school style 3D maze game where you have to web up bombs before they explode and subdue the lizard occasionally. For 5 full minutes, I explored the entire maze and couldn't find the last bomb. And the game just put me right back at the beginning, like, go on, do the whole thing again. Why are these games designed to be as tedious as possible? And finally, we have Vulture's Venture. You have a little cursor and you press A to shoot a web and block the rockets. It's very fun and very cool, and I love it. Well, that was absolutely dreadful, but we're about to get a whole lot more dreadfuler. I have somehow managed to go my entire life without seeing Spider-Man 3. I would probably really like it, but I guarantee you I will not like this thing. Or maybe I shouldn't speak so soon, because this title screen looks pretty cool. The first game is Stop New Goblin. It's supposed to be an arcade-style shoot-'em-up, but way more confusing because Spider-Man is swinging vertically up and down, but his depth isn't actually changing, like he still shoots at the same height plane no matter where he is. Trying to move around is frustrating because you have to build so much momentum. It feels like dragging a sack of potatoes around, like he's really heavy, making dodging anything next to impossible. And it keeps flashing control prompts on the screen like, do this, left and B, right and B, but you do them and then nothing happens. I don't know why it keeps telling me to do that. This game stinks and I never want to play it again. Next is Symbiote Struggle. You run around as Symbiote Spider-Man beating up thugs, and then you're instructed to web up to the rooftops where you find the next set of thugs to beat up. But the problem is when you're in the rooftop area, once you web swing, you're locked into that web swing arc with no way to correct yourself or cancel it or reorient. So you just swing and you have to hope that you land close enough to where you're supposed to just to fight the same exact thugs over and over. It's incredibly frustrating and tedious. So the next game, Sandman Smash, you fight some thugs leading up to a Sandman boss fight. The fighting feels fine. It's a little bit stiff, but not too bad. The Sandman drops gems, and when you collect a certain number of them, you land a finishing blow that blasts him through the wall into another area. I initially thought the fighting didn't have much depth to it, but then I learned that you can do this cool web throw move on thugs, and when Spider-Man gets his spider sense, it means there's an item in the background that I can pick up and bash into somebody. I didn't like the last game's fighting because I was just fighting thugs over and over, but having the Sandman as a focal point and then the bad guys just as like fodder, it gave the whole thing like a sense of direction, like having an immediate objective that I was supposed to focus on. It's really sick. I was very surprised how much I enjoyed this game. And the final game is Construction Site Fight, where you fight both Venom and Sandman at the same time. The construction site acts like a labyrinth that you have to traverse vertically to find either Venom or Sandman. It keeps things moving. You don't have to keep looking at the same backdrops over and over. It's just a really exciting back and forth of fighting and exploring. And the best part is there are no goons. The fights can be a bit confined to a tiny space sometimes, and also I ended up glitching the game and getting stuck on a wall and I had to reset. I still think Sandman Smash is is slightly more enjoyable, but both of these last two games were super fun. Well, this thing really turned itself around, didn't it? It started off really, really bad and then ended up being really good. I'm super, super impressed. See you later, Spider-you-later, and hello, Cosmo Girl. Very unique design to this plug and play here. These little controllers dock onto the console magnetically. You just pop them off and hand them to your friends. The controllers work like a TV remote. They have an IR blaster in there. If it wasn't obvious based on the design, this is a trivia machine built around Cosmo Girl magazine. Cosmo Girl is essentially the kids' version of Cosmopolitan magazine, so it's chock full of 2005 preteen girl fare. I'm not so much interested in the content of this thing as much as I am the design of it. I just think it's a fascinating device. I would have loved something like this when I was a kid. Since we're on the topic of plug and play games with weird designs, check out this one. It's kinda weird, but it gets weirder. This little port opens up, but what's it for? Well, you've got this virtual pet that docks right into that little port. It's asking me if I want to create a new virtual pet, and I say no. So it loaded up Dan. Hi Dan, I love you. Welcome to Gigapets Explorer. When you start a new game, you get to pick your pet. I'm gonna pick this doggy right here and name him Stonkle, obviously. And when you dock the virtual pet to the console, it says press zap to start TV mode. When you press it, it uploads the data, and then Dan shows up on the TV to hang out with you. In 2006, this would have blown my mind. You meet up with the mayor, and he gives you a tutorial mission where you have to find some gems, and then he sets you free into this absolutely massive world. And there's no run button, so you have to traverse it at walking pace. It is very easy to get lost, because like I said, the map is so huge. And you would think that the missions would give you a sense of direction, but no. The mayor will just be like, oh yeah, find this person, and then doesn't tell you where the person is. So I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll just wander around until I find her eventually. I was playing this on stream, and the mission where you try to find two different kinds of flowers, it's impossible. Like, it's actually impossible. The game will just place flowers randomly across the map. You have to get all of the flowers and then go all the way back to the barn in 2 minutes. It is impossible. I have 20 seconds. I'm just gonna have to hope that I find it, because my God, I don't know where it is. Oh my God, 3, 2, 1. Oh no, I have to go all the way back? Is that a fail? What do you mean? I have to go all the way back? Where's the last flower? Oh, 5, 4, 3. I can't make it back. There's no way. Okay, we're trying it again. We're doing it again. So we're gonna start up here. Okay, yes. Yeah, okay, and then we're gonna go straight up here. And I have 30 seconds to find it and get back. So I'm gonna just start heading in that direction, because there's only one way back. That's it. I already lose. If I'm already too far away, like, that's it. Oh my God! Why does it Tell him no. No. Well, that was pretty neat, but up next we have the Teledoodle. I love the sparkly decal. It has a surprisingly soft analog joystick that feels very nice in the hand, but it is very inaccurate and very frustrating to actually try to draw with. The cursor kind of just slides all over the place, and trying to draw a circle always leaves one side lopsided. This released in 2004, and it's a painting program where you can only use one color at a time. No paint bucket tool either. You can draw and you can erase, and that's it. You can change tool, which essentially just changes the theme. For instance, chainsawing a log or drawing with rainbows in the sky. It's cute, but there's absolutely no reason why they couldn't have expanded this more. Mario Paint should not be running circles around this thing when there's a 12-year gap between the two. Yeah, sure, you can say it's for kids, but I can think of no situation where a kid wouldn't prefer a piece of paper to the Teledoodle. Well, that was dog water, but I have another drawing game here called Win, Lose, or Draw. The video drawing game system. Plug and play, no cartridges required. It claims to be America's favorite TV drawing game. Look how much fun they're having. Say no more, I'm convinced. Let's get this thing out of the box and play some Win, Lose, or Draw, shall we? It shows what you're supposed to draw on the little LCD screen up top, but I immediately ran into an issue. This is missing an essential feature for a drawing tablet. There's no hover to show me where my pen is when it's not touching the pad. So you just have to guess where your previous lines were and continue your drawing from there. And if it doesn't line up, that's too bad. Your drawing is just ruined. It has this really rough layer over the touchpad, like I guess to try and give it some texture, but it was really getting on my nerves, so I ripped it out of there, and the sensitivity was immediately so much better when I removed it. But then I realized, oh, right, it's just a touchpad. D-pad. I can use my fingers on it. So I came up with a crazy idea. If I tape down the tip of the pen so it's always held down, put a piece of paper over the pad and draw with a pencil on the pad, will it just translate my drawing exactly to the TV? It's a little jank, but yeah, actually, it performed shockingly well. Like, look at the comparison here. Win, lose, or draw is a super cool idea. I love this gadget. If it had hover and a slightly better tablet, it would be awesome. Though, that being said, you'd be better off playing this game around a table with a pen and paper, or even better, one of those transparency projectors that teachers used to use. But if you specifically want to play a video game with this concept, Game & Wario Sketch on Wii U is one that I regularly go back to. Okay, we are officially scraping the bottom of the barrel with this one. This is the Versus Max Video Extreme. Now there's a lot going on here. So you have this joystick that only moves in this square gate. Like, this is a gated joystick that only goes in this square, which is insane. Then you have this just circular plate like D-pad. Why? I don't know why they did it like this. I don't know why you would ever design a directional pad that looks like this and functions like this. You have this little wheel thing, which, you know, this tilts back and forth. This is just another D-pad. This just turns left and right. There's no analog. It's just digital. I don't understand the point. And then you have these egg-tastic buttons. Look at these. This rivals the Xbox Duke. Look at these. You cannot get more eggular than this. There's your power switch there. This is just like a lot. This is a lot. This is an alien controller. So there's 50 games on here. I'm not going to look through all 50 probably. I'm just going to, you know, go through a bunch of them and just get the general scope of the thing. Fast Runner, the most basic overhead racing game I have ever seen in my life. Rally Racer, is that the Speed Racer car? The absolute bare minimum for a motorcycle racing game. Bullseye, an incredibly rudimentary shmup. Space Warp, the exact same thing but horizontal instead of vertical. Critters, you swing a net at a butterfly, and when you catch it, it says, "You get it," on the bottom. Pipe, you roll a ball around and try not to fall in the holes, and when you do fall in the holes, it resets you back to the beginning. Rollerboard, you roll a ball into the star hole, and then you do it again. Trackball, you very slowly go along a track and get to the end. Sky Patrol, it's a reskin of the same shmup from earlier. Race and Chase, it's a very slow clone of Rally X. Jungle Protector, it's another reskin of the shmup from earlier. North Territory, another reskin of the exact same shmup. Get Home, it's a clone of Toy Pop, but you play as a penguin. Solaria, it's another clone of the same shmup. Firefighter, it's a breakout clone, but you throw the firefighter at people to rescue them from a burning building. I actually kind of like this game just because of how weird it is. Speed Racer, okay, you can't use that image. That's like definitely copyrighted. Oh, it's just a reskin of the motorcycle racing game from earlier. Okay. Bounce, it's a tennis game where you press A at the right time and you will always hit the ball back. Off-Road Racer, it's a very, very slow clone of Bump and Jump. In Challenge 100, you play as Keropi and you try not to get squished by the top of the screen. Crazy Hit, it's whack-a-mole. Dump and Go. Oh, it's the motorbike racing game, but with truck instead. Okay. Elfland, you play as Casper the Slug and you touch enemies that are the same color as you and they die. Gears, okay, that's definitely Speed Racer. You can't use that. That's copyrighted. How many times are they going to reskin the exact same overhead racing game? Rocket Rider. Oh my god, it's the same 2D racing game again. Pro Tennis. Nice artwork. Oh, it's that mobile game where you try to line it up with the one above. Okay, I've gone through half of them. I'm not going to look at the rest. This is just Action 52, but more boring. Because at least Action 52 is like funny. This is just lame. Now, if you thought 50 games were a lot, check this out. The Game Station plug and play game system with 300 video games. How many video games does one man need? How many? 300? That might be too many. In 2016, I bought this thing at a Barnes & Noble for $30. Was it worth it? Let's find out. Let's just slide the whole thing out of here. So we have the main unit right here, we have the second player controller, and we have a tennis racket. Now, the first question that I have to ask is, what is that on the left? Oh, don't worry, that's just the select button. Watch how it recedes. They could have made this, that. They didn't. Somehow, the D-pad is even worse than before. Look how far it sticks out from the console. Oh, look at the travel on that. And if you look at the back here, USB port. Now, my first thought was, oh, I'll stick a flash drive in there and, I don't know, run some ROMs or something. But no, that's just the second player controller port. You plug the second controller in there, and then your friend can play too. I don't know why you would want to bring your friends on to play this, but you can. Now, on first glance, you might be like, oh yeah, yellow, white, red, whatever. But what? Why is this a USB? We have two ways to power this thing. You can power it with the batteries, or you can power it with the USB. It's very nice to have the option, actually. Very forward thinking. I gotta give them some credit for that one. So there actually are 300 games on here. I'm not gonna bother going through all of them. I'll just pick out some ones that look interesting and highlight them. Heroes, Mice 2. Oh, I'm trying to punch the mice up. So I'm punching them back up. I don't know what I'm gaining from this. Invincible Girl. What could that be? All right, here's the problem with this, right? I have no idea what's going on, so I'm having a lot of trouble trying to summarize this. Oh, I thought my objective was to break out, but now I'm not sure. The thing that always baffles me every time I look at one of these is that someone had to sit down and like develop all these and like make the sprites and make the art. It had to go through some form of like quality control. Like it had to go through bug testing. Just for me to look at it and be like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Mummy, can I play repair urgently, please? Please, Mummy? I did all my homework. Ah, I have to repair urgently. Oh, dear. That one. I want to play Magic Johnny. Magic Johnny, yes! Is that Pikachu in a wrestling mask? Because nutrition sucked by all— wait, what? No, I wanted to read that. No, it's going by too fast. No! 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 This is the story of Magic Johnny. Because nutrition sucked by the huge monsters, soar all the plants have shriving one. This atmosphere of peace has been destroyed. The green land is becoming to wasteland, and people's lives were also threatened by monsters. Go that way, magic flower! Till one day, a little hero called Johnny has come up. I have come up. He must defeat all these monsters by his magic flower. Magic flower, use your fart power! So Magic Johnny's power is that he can spawn a giant rose that eats his enemies. Okay, Magic Johnny, that's a pretty good magic power. Crystal Blast. Yes, Crystal Blast, let's go. Stage 1. Hit him, hit him. Yes, yes, I have Diamond Blasted. Oh, I missed that one. Each one of these games offers like 5 seconds of entertainment value. It doesn't have to be entertaining. They already made the sale. Like if you got this far, you already paid for it. Nature Clan Mirror Devil World. Ah! What do I do? What am I supposed to do? Ah! Okay, I don't get it at all. Like I don't understand, even a little bit. What is going on? Nutcracky. I gotta see Nutcracky. What did that say? Seven. Save. Inks. Hello, princess. I'm coming for. Okay, that's it. Well, this is terrible. Pizza Boy. Oh my god, this music. I tried to deliver pizza and then she disappeared. What's going on? Wonder Ball. Why do I get points sometimes and other times I don't? I'm not controlling anything. It just kind of happens on its own. I'm actually kind of blown away by how unbelievably confusing these are. I'm pretty sure these games were made by actual aliens because I am not interpreting any of this. Let's try Lucky Ball. Wait, what? This is Nintendo Pinball. Oh my god, this is actually a pirate game. This is Nintendo Pinball for NES, so they just reskinned. Air Umbrella. Wait a minute. Is this gonna be... This is Balloon Fight. This is another pirated Nintendo game. You can't do this. This game might be literally 40 years old, but Nintendo will still sue you for including it in a compilation illegally. Penguin. Oh my god, it's Nuts and Milk. This is another pirated Nintendo game that they just reskinned to be Penguin. penguins. Why? So they put just a bunch of homebrew crap near the beginning of the compilation, and then later on they were just like, nah, we'll just put all the pirated Nintendo games near the end. No one's gonna scroll that far. They're probably right too. That's the funny part. So about the little table tennis racket that it comes with, I tried it out on stream. Here's a clip of me trying it out on stream. For those wondering, it's just an IR blaster. When you swing, it sends a button press command to the console. Yeah, it's really simple, but it feels really nice. They nailed the sensitivity.
How? Why does this work better than the GoGo TV? I'm furious.
So this thing has mostly original games, and then they started getting a little illegal with it towards the end. Now, some of these plug and plays show nowhere near that level of restraint, because the Mega Joy 2 is just obvious, blatant piracy territory. I mean, look at this thing. They're not even trying to hide it. Like, this is just a Nintendo 64 controller. Now, I'm not trying to sound like I'm anti-piracy. Pirating from Nintendo is always morally correct. However, let me make this abundantly clear. I am not pro bootleg. Redistributing copyrighted assets for free for the sake of preservation is cool. Redistributing copyrighted assets for profit or for personal gain, not cool. Very bad. It's fascinating because this spawned an entire line of Famiclone bootlegs that were so prolific that Nintendo took legal action against them. This is one of many. I have 3 of them, and you will see them after this. Before we boot this up and take a look at it, I just want to show you the anatomy of this thing. So you got your video ports here. You got a power adapter slot there. It's 6 volts. You have this weird battery cartridge on the back. So you're supposed to like open this up, place the batteries inside of this little plastic case, and then that slots into the back here. This one is so old that the battery slot thing doesn't slot in anymore. It just kind of blasts out of there. See, like it doesn't, like it just pops out. It doesn't work. The reset button is here, so that sends you back to the menu. Then you have your start and select buttons here, which is a crime because you know that on the N64 controller, this is A and B. But the A and B buttons are here, this B and A, and then there's turbo B and A up here. It's a very weird thing. Let's go boot it up. Look at this thing with all the cables coming out of it. It looks like it's on life support. So when you boot it up, it says Fun Educational 8001. So let's see if there's really 8,000 games. Oh my God. Oh my God, how could they even put that many games on this thing? They're using a really cool optimization trick called lying. There are only 76 actual games on here, and they just repeat them until the number reaches 8,000. So let's try out Mickey Safari Letter. I think I know this game. This is Mickey's Adventures in Numberland. How'd they get the rights to that? They didn't. They stole it. They included Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley, and Wild Gunman. But you can't play any of these because there's no gun. Like there's no way to use the gun. Look, here's Lode Runner, one of the most popular NES games ever made, and it's just on here. Look, here's Nuts and Milk, which for some reason is on every pirate console ever made. I mean, good choice. This game rocks. I just think it's funny that for some reason Nuts and Milk is the one Famicom game that's on all of these. But yeah, look, it's Nintendo's Ice Climber. There it is. There's so many Nintendo properties on this thing, you'd think it's Super Smash Brothers. I mean, the problem with this thing is that it's just really uninteresting just because it's all NES games that are unchanged. And it's like, yeah, no, I know what NES games are like. I play a lot of them, but it's like, what am I supposed to say about this? Like, I've said everything there is to say, so I'm just gonna move on. And now for the Super Joy 3, very obviously cut from the same cloth. Look at these things. A couple of major differences, namely this fake joystick. This is just hard plastic. It doesn't move. I don't know why it's here. It is genuinely baffling to me. Why didn't they just leave it out like they did with this one? I mean, these are probably not made by the same people. There were probably like 900 million different Chinese factories pumping these things out back in like 2001. But also, look at this button placement. How could they do this? Look at that distance. Second controller port. Look, gun and joystick number 2. So look, they didn't forget the gun capability this time. But also, prepare yourself. They put an entire cartridge slot right on the back, and when you hold it, you can feel the cartridge slot with your fingers. It really digs in back there. It's very nice. Okay, well, this should look familiar. We've seen this before, but the difference is when you press reset, it says Fun time! Look at this. They put the king of video games on here, just totally blatantly, straight out in the open. This level of recklessness is what got these guys sued, because you can't just be going around putting Mario on your pirate console. You just can't. Okay, yeah, we've seen the whole pirated NES games thing before. It's nothing new. But what is new here is, check this out. I got my Famicom cartridge right here. This is the iconic, the fabulous Hudson Soft Nuts and Milk from 1984. Duh! It just sticks out like that. And here's how you have to hold it when you do that. Like, you just have to hold it like that. What other option do you have? Turn her on, and look at that. Nuts and Milk. It's running straight off the real Famicom cartridge. Finally, I can play Nuts and Milk using my real cartridge. Okay, but jokes aside, this is actually really cool. Like, this is a pretty convenient way to test my Famicom cartridges. It's pretty good. And then we have another one cut from the same cloth again, the Power Joy. This one's got a few weird differences to it. Number one, check out this joystick. It actually moves, and it actually does function, although it's just an 8-directional digital D-pad, just shaped differently, of course. Now, why is it shaped like this? Well, they put the gun right there. It's just right in the middle of the controller like that. That's really sick, actually, and it feels very comfortable to hold. Like, that click is nice, too. And of course, you've got the second player controller port, and it comes with a very crappy controller for the second player with PlayStation buttons, inexplicably. Yeah, whatever, we've seen this before, who cares? So let's get this thing booted up and see what it's like. Power Joy with some MS Paint geese and some MS Paint roses. Are these all shooting games? Let's try Falling Block. Falling Bricks. I wonder what game this is going to be a clone of. Oh, yep, this is pirated Tetris. Oh, whoa. That ain't no Tetris like I've ever seen. I hate this. Oh no, this is cursed Tetris. Panzer Flying Car. Okay. A very bare bones 2D racing game. Okay. Okay, yeah, it seems like most of these are shooting games, so we're gonna have to do something a little drastic. Oh yeah, it is definitely CRT time. For those uninitiated, LCD screens don't work with light gun games. You gotta get a CRT like this one. So I've got the Power Joy right here. I'm about to shoot at the screen like that. All right, so I'm about to start off with Shoot Copter. Let's go. Oh, it's a hack of Duck Hunt. Of course it is. Okay, hit that one instantly. Just, if it's not clear on camera, I'm probably like 2 feet away from the screen. So not far, but I wanted to, I wanted the gun to appear on camera. This is working perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. So yeah, it's just a hack of Duck Hunt, but they replaced the ducks with helicopters for some reason. All right, we're about to get a perfect game. Let's see if I get a, yeah, absolute perfect game, yeah. This feels incredible. It is like exact. Okay, let's try Shooting 600. Let's try that. Oh, okay, this is the Duck Hunt Shooting Cans game. They replaced the sprite with something. They look like little birds or something. I can't even tell. No, not that one. I think it doesn't know which one I'm aiming at sometimes. There we go. Okay, I was definitely aiming at the bottom one and I hit the top one. Okay, I don't get that. If anything, it's overly sensitive. Like, they need to reduce the sensitivity. I'm guessing Shoot Glass is gonna be clay pigeons. Let's see. Yep, clay pigeons. Okay. Okay, got that one. Nope, I ran out of shots. So I missed the left one, hit the right one. All right, cool, got both of them. Yeah, so this is really good. It struggled in the cans game, but this feels perfect. Wow, that feels really nice. What happened to light gun games? We need to bring them back. Well, that was really fun. This thing works pretty good. I gotta give it to them. But there's still one trick it has up its sleeve. Let's get to that now. The Power Joy cartridge, PJ008. You shove this right into the back here. Now this cartridge slot is, it's really crunchy. I'm sure you heard that. But yeah, let's boot this up and see what's on the cartridge. 84 and 1. Okay, is this just gonna be more pirated NES games? Because I have had more than enough of that. It looks like these are just pirated NES games. You got Pac-Land, Load Runner, Paperboy. Finally, I have a way to play Aladdin 3. Oh, it just goes right into it. No title screen or anything, huh? Okay. I mean, we kind of all knew what to expect. Pirated NES games, you know, they're pirated NES games. They're very uninteresting. Just like every trend, plug and plays were squeezed for their every drop of potential for the sake of capitalism. But even then, it's weird to see how much range they had. Some were simply retro game compilations, some were entirely original, some were trying to be game consoles of their own, and some were just straight up illegal bootlegs. The concept of some game developers being tasked to make a SpongeBob game on what was essentially 20-year-old system on a chip hardware at the time is fascinating to me. Limitations breed innovation. The modern day equivalent would be seeing what people can do with the Raspberry Pi, Arduino, or FPGAs. And I love all that stuff too, so it should be no surprise that plug and play TV games will always hold a special place in my heart. Hey, thanks for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Here's the Patreon name scroll. I want to talk about that real quick. So if you go to patreon.com/Clue and subscribe on any tier, you get invited to the Clue's House Discord server. And there's a channel in there that's exclusive for supporters called the Premium Blog. And the people in the Premium Blog, they get to see all of the cool stuff that I'm working on at the time. So, you know, previews, early releases for like game modding stuff whenever I decide to do that, that kind of thing. And it's really cool, you know. I also wanted to ask you guys how you feel about this format. Like, I haven't done the here's a bunch of interesting things kind of format in a while. I used to do that a lot back in like the sort of iDog era. I haven't done it in a bit, so I wanted to bring that back. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you again for your support. It's something that I definitely don't take for granted. And if you can't hop on the Patreon, that's totally fine. Just keep an eye on my videos and hit the subscribe button and I'll be okay. So sayonara, Space Cadets. I'll see you guys next time.